I need you to click on the subscribe button. Yes, the button. Right? Push it. Push the button. Subscribe to Conversations on Film so you can talk with me and I can talk to you. All right? You heard what I said? Subscribe. Conversations on Film. Thank you. Love you.
We seen today, well, not today, a couple days ago, there was this fight at the boat. Can you inform us, please, Jada? You know, that is your thing.
Me?
Tell us what happened.
Well, on my booze and bays, let me bring you down memory lane. Yesterday, a national holiday ensued. We don't get paid for it yet, but I'm working on it as we speak. And yesterday was National Fuck Around and Find Out Day.
Hallelujah.
And that's what happened on a riverboat. Big wheel keep on turning. So down in Alabama, there was a riverboat brawl that ensued when a good fellow member of the African American community, allegedly his name is Dang Dang, shout out to him, was just doing his job as black men do, being security, securing the waters. And he asked a group of white boaters to please move their boat so that a bigger boat could be docked in. Well, some people yesterday decided to use white privilege and white entitlement and decided that they didn't have to move their boat. And we seen our good brother try to cajole. He tried to reason. He tried to use logic. He did everything not to be ignorant or niggerish, and it still didn't work. Then they decided that they were going to use the spirit of their ancestors and go Ku Klux Klan on my good brother, and they began to jump him. But oh, my brothers and sisters testify. What they didn't know was that we were in our Tracy Chapman bag. We would decide we were going to reach our brother by airplane, by swimming, by rowboat canoes, jet skis, and jetpacks. And we teleported to whoop their asses.
Amen.
And what ensued was a concoction of Negro spirituals, the spirit of Rodney King, Harriet Tubman, Medgar Evers, and a sprinkle of Malcolm X, and a little bit of ECW because there was a chair. And yes, and I have, yes, that's true. I just received word that the chair will be going to the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. because it is a national black monument. So power to the people. And I like real talk. Yesterday, I don't know about y'all, but I watched that video about 1,000 times. Like cause every time you watch it, you get something different, like, and you get different perspectives. But what really pleased me the most was how united we were. There wasn't any questions asked. We saw an injustice and we righted it. And I think the real reason why so many of us were elated, not just about the violence, because I don't want the violence to just be so showcased, but it was a trigger. First of all, black people by ancestry by water, boats. Last time we was on a boat 400 years, it didn't work so well in our favor. Last time, we know for a fact, history shows us that Alabama was the most segregated racial state in Jim Crow era. So to see all of this now, 2023, we're not, and I don't want to keep saying that we're not our ancestors, because you're right, we're not our ancestors because our ancestors had to endure some things we never thought of. But we're not our ancestors in the spirit of being docile, in the spirit of turning the other cheek, in the spirit of we just gonna march and then we marched on the ass.
Yeah. I think the thing that you mentioned the most was being triggered. I automatically got triggered by that, right? It's and there's some times where you see a video go viral or something like that happening, and you have people in the comment section that might be like, oh, we shouldn't always choose the violent route. I think there was a consensus in this particular clip that violence was the only way to handle that. And that's what I loved about that, right? When I saw son swimming in the water,
bruh.
Yo,
he swam to the fight. That's some different shit. This nigga swam to the fight and got over, took his shoe off. Like, what's up?
Do you know how heavy his clothes had to be?
Yeah.
Do you know how much energy is exerted from swimming?
And that is the unifying thing right there. That whole idea that we all recognize that, bro, it's time to take the high road, and the high road didn't work, and now you gotta fuck around and find out and get your ass whooped. And we all were united in that. I ain't seen nobody be like, oh, well, this is why black people. None of that wasn't there. Everybody had the fucking consensus that we had to beat their ass at that particular time.
We all chose violence.
Yeah, violence chose us.
It did.
Yeah,
we just responded.
and we accepted the invitation.
But first of all, the bat signal of the hat, nigga, that hat went up. First of all, the hat never came back down. The hat never came back down. And he threw that shit mad smooth. That was the national fuck this job. Cause y'all got me fucked up. He threw that hat mad smooth and it was on. And the fact that when the little white lady tried to jump in, that's when the sisters jumped in. And then one brother, he was going to hold a woman back. The black lady, he's like, oh no, she a woman, get her. Yeah. To me, this was like, it was holy. I don't know I don't know no other way. I don't know. No, like we was baptizing niggas. We was laying hands in the name of Jesus. We offered the white lady a seat. It was over her head, but we offered the seat. I mean, it was everything to me. Like I have watched that clip so many times. I've watched the footage from people on the boat. I watched it from footage on the platform, on the deck. I loved every minute.
Yeah, it was really spiritual.
Yes.
For real. It was spiritual. Because we were talking to each other without talking.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't hear nobody say, yo, come help me. We just knew that we were.
It was instinctual. And I think I think the real reason why a lot of us felt like this sense of camaraderie is because oftentimes when we do equate violence with black people, it's always in a negative form. Mm-hmm. This was justified. Yes. It was, we clearly saw, we saw that he wasn't the antagonist. Mm-hmm. He was the protagonist in this instance. And it was like, nah, we're not doing that. And he's not alone. And again, it's the trigger that is in all of us, whether we're in 2023 or 1953. It's just that now we were able to write this, and we was like, nah.
And no one can change the narrative because, the video is there, so no one's gonna make no clips and cut it out, and you'll see when the black brother is hitting them first or something like that. It was there. We got it. The whole story is laid out from different angles all over, and we got to see one person playing the role of, yo, listen, I'm telling y'all just move on, and they jumped on him, right? And he's defending himself clearly. So, anything else after that, we don't even want to hear it after that.
And the crazy part is the dude that hit him first wasn't even the person he was talking to in that moment. He ran from wherever he was to come and swing on bro. I loved it. I ain't gonna hold. It made me want to stand up. I wanted to put on every black spiritual, every song you could think of. I was here, the Black National Anthem. I was here for every moment of it. And guess what? I know we go back and forth a lot on this show, but for the moment, the black men and the black women had each other's back. We was fucking it up together. That was the one moment that made me proud. Yes, we getting it.
Yep. We unfortunately, we took a loss. And I'm gonna explain to you why. As good as it felt watching our people do what they were supposed to be doing, in the end, what happened? I don't know if y'all seen the whole video. Did you see how the black cop arrested the black person?
I saw that.
Yeah.
Very aggressive.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
it be us.
No. Let's think about it.
Okay.
As a black person, when you see your own people doing something that they're supposed to be doing, you don't attack them. You don't arrest them in that kind of way. Why do we always want to follow those type of rules when it comes to white people? So that situation right there showed me that we're still enslaved, because what happened? People are making jokes like, my friends was like, damn, why he hit her with a chair like that? Why did Zimmerman try to sell the gun that killed Trayvon Martin? Why do we always have to have sympathy for other people? They don't have no sympathy for us.
Nah, I get you. That's true.
Well, although they were arrested, and I don't know if the officers that responded saw how it transpired, right? Because sometimes when you just see the antagonist, or what you think is the antagonist, that's who you're supposed to go after. From my understanding, that's how training works, right? But if you saw somebody with a gun, that's who you going after, no matter what the situation. But what I will say in hindsight as well is the mayor came out and made sure that the white people got arrested as well. This was after the fact, but I did see that. I saw that today. So I don't know what's going to happen of this situation. I did catch that, like, yo, why are they only going after the black people? I guess we are the aggressors mostly, or they think that.
Right.
And again, it was us. But I also want to say, because it was black cops, I don't think it was as bad. Because I think if it was white cops arresting the black people, it would have
totally
really
different.
escalated into something completely different.
But I
No,
think
it should have escalated into something that it should have been escalated to.
But I think
I agree.
I'm
I
usually
agree.
not one of those people that, like, you know, just contribute to any GoFundMe or nothing like that. But if there's a GoFundMe for these people,
Right.
that got arrested, and I mean, I got my bread ready.
Right.
Some money for your JPEG.
Yeah, I mean, I put some money on your books real fast, and I mean, because they did the
It was
heroic thing.
justified.
Well,
Yeah.
did you hear the brother when he was like, "Go ahead, I'm good. I'm gonna come home." He's like, okay, in that instance too. Now let's be fair. You literally, so the police officer was there when he was hitting the woman with the chair.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I'm letting y'all bang, but you can't. I can't let you bang her. Like, come on, bro. Like, you know. So I just listen. I don't have anything negative to
Fact.
say. Nothing
No.
will.
Yeah.
Nothing will dampen. Fuck around and find out day for me.
Yeah.
Nothing.
No,
There's
not
nothing.
at all. I'm about to
And
get a
shout
t-shirt
out to
made.
16-year-old C Murder, Aquaman,
Yeah.
Michelonium B Phelps. My baby swam
Yep.
to the and he wasn't
Yeah,
breaststroke.
yeah.
I mean, he wasn't doing no, like, he was swimming like hand over hand. It was just magical.
Yeah, it was
I,
good.
I wish we could do that.
Yeah, we should be doing that all the time.
My fault.
Hit
Go
that.
ahead.
No, I want you to hit on that because I
wish
know
we
where
could
you're
do
going
that
with it.
on every situation. Every
Agreed.
situation, we come together. Nobody comes between black people.
Agreed.
I
If you
agree with
disrespect
that.
one black person,
You
you disrespect
disrespect us
all.
all.
And
Yeah.
and I'm gonna come clean. This is why LGBTQ, right, has a place in this world, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because they stand together.
Yeah, they do.
Disrespect one person, disrespect everybody. But if somebody disrespects a black sister, guess what? Well, it's just her. She must have done something wrong. Disrespect the black man. You must have done something wrong. Nobody.
Well, that goes
we
back-
we don't come together.
But that goes back to what Jada was saying, I believe one of our last episodes, that when it came to the woman in Chicago with her son, how we don't think initially as black people that black people come with a level of protection, right? We don't think that you're coming with a crowd. We don't think, and if you are coming, it's the uneducated crowd. It's not the people that are the letter writers, the email writers. It's not the politicians. It's not the lawyers. It's not anybody that can make anything move and shake. To where we don't know who these people were today or this past weekend, but damn it, they made that motherfucking deck shake, literally and figuratively.
Shook
And
the table.
I know sometimes it really only takes one. So, because look at somebody like Rosa Parks, who just from her one action, it caused this whole movement. So hopefully what they did was eye-opening in our community, and what they have done is going to make us think a little bit harder about coming to each other's rescue and being one and having camaraderie. I'm hoping. Because I like I said, it just, like, it was almost like the energy was infectious through the screen, watching it. It was
It's
like,
electrifying through everywhere.
yes, I loved it.
I'm glad that you hit on that because I literally posted that on my social media. So I said it may be too early, but random thought. What if we move economically, community-wise, the same way that we came to the rescue? We have to be, there's nobody coming to save us, black community. If we want it to be, it's up to you and me. You got to look in the mirror. And your problem has to be my problem. We might not even agree. You might disagree behind the scenes that I am the problem. But in the front, we have to be able to move and stand and be together as one. And like JC said, I'm not even just going to go with the LGBT community. We could look at the Jewish community. We could look at the Asian community. You do something to one of them, you have effectively did it to all. Yeah. And they form a blockade, a strong one, impenetrable. You can't get through because one person was offended.
Yep.
And then guess what? When that one person is offended, you need to apologize to all of us collectively. Yeah. So we have to be able to stand together just like that. Look at what happened with Jamie Foxx.
I was just about to
Come
say,
on, sis, I'm here
look
with
at
you.
what happened. So
Now,
when he wasn't even told, none of us, unless you were Jewish, took that he was talking about Jews.
I don't even think Jews felt like that. Yeah. I think that there's a persona as soon as you mention that word Jew.
Or Jesus.
But he didn't say Jew.
He
No,
said
he
no,
said
no, he
said
didn't.
they.
Right, he said they. But even when it's alluded to, there is this like, ooh, oh my goodness, you can't, because you know why? You know the repercussion that is coming from messing with them collectively,
Yep.
and that's what I was alluding to before. Like there has to be a level of protection for Black people, Black men, Black women, where you know if you f with one of us, you f with all of us, and the economic powers that Black dollars spend, we don't realize the power that we could use that would be unstoppable.
But I think that's the thing, though, right? The thing is the realization. If you don't realize your power, then you really can't use it, right? So I think everything that we've been trying to, all the forces have been trying to stop us from recognizing what our actual power is. And it's moments like what we had this weekend that could show us, like, oh, listen, if we team up, if we unite, we could do a lot, right? We could do way more than we think that we can do. But the powers that be, or the people, the way the system is set up, is for us to continually be divisive, so we don't recognize what our powers are, right? Because if we don't recognize our powers, then we can't use them, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you don't know that you got, laser beams coming out your eyes, you know what I mean? You don't know when to use them, right? So that's the thing. And I think we were talking behind the scenes before about being intentional, right? You got to be intentional in your position as a Black man, being intentional in your position as a Black woman, and recognize that's who you are and what your stance is, right? And a lot of times if you work in the corporate field or the corporate world, or if you're just out in the world itself, you recognize that when I do something, we're the only race that when we do something, it's all of y'all, right?
Yeah.
We get painted as that. Oh listen, especially when we do something negative, right? When something negative happen, it's just them being niggas again, right? It's them. Right? It's not you as an individual, because you're representing all of us when you do something negative, right? But then if you do something positive, it's like, oh, see, he's different from the rest of them, right? So we have to know our stance in the world and recognize that when we go out into the world, we're representing everyone. I'm representing him, I'm representing you, and I have to, live my life according and do the right thing accordingly and make decisions, intentional decisions that will benefit us as a whole when we go out into the world.
When there's a chance to make a difference, Black people don't do it. So let's go back to Colin Kaepernick. When he took a knee, he wasn't disrespecting the flag, disrespecting police brutality.
Yeah.
But then again, when you listen to the national anthem, it talks about slavery.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until recently.
Yeah.
Now when we go to Kanye West, when he said all of them things on Drink Champs, Black people was upset at him. But in my mind, I'm like, why are you getting upset at another person talking about another culture? Then we go to Kyrie Irving, and he did what he did. When Black people have a chance to take a stance, they don't do it because even Black people was against him, and he's talking about another culture.
The only reason why I disagree with you a little bit, because like Kanye be picking and choosing when he want to be Black, right? And you can't be like that. Like if you're gonna take a stance with Black people, you gotta take a stance all the time. It can't be, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna run home to y'all when it's convenient, or I'm gonna disrespect them over there, and then when they start playing me, I'm gonna run back home. Right? You can't do that. You're gonna have to be intentional about being Black all the time. Don't forget that Kanye told us we was being slaves and we had choices and all that. Don't forget that, right?
And that was the greatest quote he said.
So it's interesting. I'm reading your pants, JC. It says, "Who decides war?" Now, if you do your history and we really look back at history, in war, one of the easiest ways to overcome anything is war is divide and conquer. And everybody else seems to know that but the Black community. That once you divide people, it is so easy to get one side on your side and then cause conflict and friction. Like, we love to be divided. It's almost like we have to have it. We have to have the division. Where other cultures, you're not going to divide them. They don't even got to agree with each other. They don't got to like each other. Well, guess what? We got a united front going on. And I think we got to get to that place as a people to where I agree with some stuff Kanye says, but I also agree with Rick that it can't be, you can't waver the fence. You can't straddle the fence. Like, either you all in or you out.
Yeah. Can white people straddle the fence?
They don't.
As far as being accepted, like, it doesn't matter if a Black person wants to be on and off. You know why? Because he's Black, and I don't care. I do care, but you get what I'm saying? Not enough for me to turn my back on him. Now, when white people straddle the fence, they do one good thing, guess what? Black people accept them. Hey, what's up, you're part of us.
You're welcome to the barbecue.
But now we holding Kanye West accountable for any little thing. You can't do that. Kanye West makes great points, and he still stands for black.
But
He doesn't.
Even a broke clock, even a broke clock
Is right twice a day.
right? So I won't say that he has valid points at some times, but then you gotta recognize that. I think we could come to the consensus that Kanye is self-serving for Kanye, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the problem, right? The thing about it, I think Jazz just mentioned the thing about the reason why for us a lot of our thinking, why we're easily divided, because a lot of our thinking is short term, right? And because our thinking is short term is because we don't really know our history as much, so we can't look long term. There's a thing that says about like the Asian heritage thinks 3 generations ahead.
Yes.
We can't think 3 generations ahead because we don't even know 3 generations behind us in the sense of knowing the details, right? We know a little bit and we know the history that we were taught, but that's not our real history. So a lot of times we're easily divided based on money and status because we are thinking short term and we're thinking, you know what? I got the opportunity to save my little group right here, and I'm not thinking about the overall picture.
Collective.
Yeah, and if we were thinking about the overall picture and where we would be 10 years, 50 years from now, we would make better decisions, but we don't because we're thinking in the moment.
See, I think a lot of us have had that in our families. A lot of us have had that sacrificial generation already, to where they were the laborers. They weren't partying like that. They were saving. They made sure they were homeowners. They made sure that the family could be okay. But what happens with us is we don't have enough people in the family. Like in other cultures, you'll have like your cousins. Like let's say it's 5 cousins. Your family will sit down and say, this one's going to be the doctor. That one's going to be the lawyer. This one's going to be the carpenter. So that everything stays in house. We don't do that in our families. Like we just let our kids be whatever. Not saying your kids don't have choices, but I believe in steering children a certain way. So that it makes sense, right? So because we don't have that with us. It's like, oh, whatever. And then what happened with that sacrificial generation of grandparents or great-grandparents, the crack era swept in. And with the crack era, nobody understood home ownership. Nobody, or if you did, you were so busy on your next fix that you sold the house pennies on the dollar. The same house grandma and grandpa bust their ass 2 and 3 jobs back then to solidify. We always talk about the 50-50 storyline, but you got to remember a lot of times granddaddy and great-granddaddy didn't just have one job. A lot of them had 2 and 3 fucking jobs to make sure that the house was provided for. We've got to get back to history. And just like when we look at what's happening in Florida with them trying to get rid of Black history in the schools, it's strategic. It's for a reason.
Absolutely.
It ain't like it's just happening. No, it's because they don't want us to know how strong we once were. Like, I love Drake, but that whole started from the bottom. Black people didn't start from the bottom.
No.
Not at all. They want you to believe that's where the fuck we started. We did not at all.
You speak of a sacrificial generation, right? And in the people before us, taking all that pain and 5-6 jobs and being oppressed in that time period. What is the sacrifice that we're gonna make now, right? And that what's the sacrifice that us as people in this generation that came up with a level of freedom, free-ish, right? Where where you were able to move around and go to school and get the things that we get. What are the sacrifices that we're gonna make now to make sure that we're good going forward? Because I think that's 1 second. I think there's so much assimilation that we feel like some of us feel like we're them. Right? We're not, right? We need to set up ourselves to be where we can go, but because we've gotten free-ish, right? We're cool with that because we're not experiencing what our grandmother and great-grandmother experienced. So it's like, nobody's whipping me in the back, so I'm good. It's not. We need to make some sacrifices, some present-day sacrifices, so we can have some long-term goals down the line.
I agree, and I think part of that sacrificial thing that we really need to focus on, I think we spoke about this before. I think what our generation needs to definitely hone on, and we're hearing the conversation a lot more, reparations. When we talk about the history, I think what you said, Jazz, is so important, but it's also important that we don't just learn American history. It's important to go to the root. A lot of us don't know our roots. We don't know about Africa, and what we do know about Africa is so impartially biased that we don't have a clear conscience of self. We don't have self-knowledge. And it's important for us to realize that the American Black person is totally different from people who come from Africa.
Absolutely.
So when you're talking about that, we're not you're not being told or steered or guided. If you look in African culture, they totally are. They're told what you're going to do.
Yep.
You're going to be a doctor. You're the lawyer. You're the barista. You're going to be a scientist. And that was, so when we're looking at other cultures, we have that, but we don't know our true selves.
So can I disagree with you for a second?
No, because I wasn't finished.
Yeah, no, but I don't want to. I know you. I don't want to lose the train of thought. The only thing I disagree with you in a second was the fact that you said the American black is different from the African black. The only thing that's different is the conditioning, right? We are all the same, and I think that's part of the divide and conquer thing, right? Is the fact that we are thinking that we're different. We're not different. We're not different in any way, shape, or form. Genetically, we're not different. We're all coming. So knowing your heritage, we all came from that coast there somewhere. So the way how Asians and Jews can trace themselves back centuries and centuries is the same way we need to trace ourselves back centuries and centuries, because
we can't.
We could.
We can't.
We could, because but it's not intentional. We're not doing it as a collective, because there's an argument that's saying the American black and the American conditioning is different from the African black and African conditioning. The conditioning is different, but we're genetically the same, and our truth lies back there if we go and find it.
I hate to disagree with you. I'm gonna let you. I hate to disagree with you. Nah, I really don't hate to disagree with you. That's like saying that, like, okay, so a shadoodle is definitely the same as a Yorkie because it has a genetic trait, but it's definitely a different dog.
No,
it is. So what I mean by that, what I'm getting at is, yes, genetically, of course, we are African.
Yeah.
We can, of course, genealogically, we can trace, but I can't tell you what my ancestral black surname is. I can't tell you ancestrally, definitively, what tribe I come from, what part of Africa.
you actually can.
No, you
actually
can.
It's called
even
23andMe.
genealogy. It's not definitive.
Yeah.
It's what they're telling you is definitive, right?
But you have to be intentional about going back and finding that out. You have to go back and
So
find it out.
I'm gonna go find the Kusus. Like, I'm gonna know I can know what tribe I come from, but now there's a tribe within the tribe. You see where I'm going with it? It's like,
what I'm trying to say is, if you don't know the history, if you don't try to find out the history, then you're always gonna feel like you're divided, and you're always gonna be a nation, a people with no nation. And you can't go forward like that. You can't go forward if you think that what you are is American and just American, because it's not gonna work.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that, but what I'm saying about that is it makes it so much harder for us to be able to move forward, in the sense of other races can trace that. Other races have that connection.
That gives them leverage.
So right, I was about to say that. So it gives them that feeling of, you know what, I belong. We're trying to find what to fit the pieces of the puzzle together.
Can I give you an example? So I grew up in the islands, right? I grew up in Jamaica. When I was younger, I saw black cops, black judges, black teachers, black people in the banks, all that stuff. That gives me a different view of people, about where I can be. And I took that when I came here. I came to this country because I'm looking at it like, yo, listen, no one can tell me I can't be a banker or a cop, because this is what I saw growing up, right? It gives you black prime minister, black people in power, right? Coming here, dealing even with my grandmother, she came here when I was super young. You know, they had the impression that, certain things were for white people and certain things were for black people. If you don't have that foundation like I had as a kid growing up, seeing all black people in this particular route, it's going to take a while for you to get to the point where you feel like you're an equal.
That is obtainable.
Yeah, that is attainable. So you need a foundation. The foundation that I was saying that you can find in Africa is that you see that. It's a continent filled with black people in black power, right? Now you can take that and build something going forward based on the fact that I know I can be that, right? Here, it's like, we're free-ish. But you know what? Swimming and skiing, those are white people. You know what I'm saying? That's what we tell ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. You're doing something that's super polite. You know, you're being like a white guy, right? I was watching a video earlier with Swiss Beats and Alicia Keys, and she ordered carrots in the club. And he was like, oh, that's the white side saying that, right? Because she wanted to eat a carrot. You know what I'm saying? Certain things are like portrayed as being outside of our realm, and especially the things that seem to be sophisticated and intelligent. But if you trace your roots back to the pyramids and the time of math and those times before we were enslaved, then you would recognize that we had all this power all the time. So that's why I say I don't know if we can directly go back and find your actual tribe. but go back and make that connection. You know what I'm saying? Go back and make that connection and embrace that African nature that's in you, because it's there, and it's going to show you a different side of you when you go to Africa and you see people don't have flies flying around their mouth and big bellies and dying of hunger. Like, we're powerful people building things and mining and building great infrastructure, and we're building up societies outside of what we see in the Western world.
Absolutely.
So that's all I'm saying.
How do we build the pyramids? Like, how did that happen? Everything you see now, we've done before our time. Waves, braids, dreadlocks, all types of hair, different type of hairstyle, was in Egypt. So we was kings before. So if I'm not mistaken, isn't that the word nigga or negus? Right?
Negus, yeah.
Next.
Negus, yeah. King.
We was kings.
Yeah. Yep. So
Hold on. We was kings, right? We was kings.
But you know what? To kind of sum this up a little bit, though, look at that one incident that happened in Alabama, how it sparked this in-depth spiritual conversation that we're having here about roots. That's how powerful that one incident happened, right? And how connective it brought us, where we're like, damn, yo.
Now that's how powerful uniting black people,
people can
be. I think that's what it sparked in us, and I hope that feeling continues and it grows. And I really do hope we get behind reparations, because we
do need that, for real.
Run us our money.
Yeah, for real. Some kind of compensation.
Because black people was partying on the boat, right?
Yeah, they was partying.
But the white people owned the boat.
All right, so
where we at in different situations.
Right.
He never let
They owned. We was partying, having a good time. They owned, so they felt entitled.
I'm really surprised that you have on a white shirt right now. All of your clothes should just be black.
Yeah.
All of them.
You're right. I'm the original Black Panther. I should have been the Black Panther.